welcome to Borderless Diaries.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, very excited.
Thank you for joining the conversation. We always talk in Dutch and quite a bit in Dutch. I'm very curious how we will manage this setting because, yeah,
Me
it's
too. It's always feeling like a stranger. Who are you? Why do I talk English to you? But yeah, I'm excited though.
we can do this. So, Alex, every guest starts with the same question. What is one of the most unforgettable, funny, or downright awkward experiences that you've had while adjusting to a new life in a new country?
I would go. I have two. I think with the cheesy one first. So unforgettable.
Mhm.
Because this girl, I was somebody who loved singing and dancing till I was like so young. So entertainment and everything in Hollywood was always something that drawn to me. And that happened like, gosh, I'm getting old. 2013 is 12 years ago. I started my internship in Los Angeles and at a Clark production. So they produce like the American Music Awards and Golden Globes and all that kind of amazing stuff. And I think the unforgettable thing for me, so I'm just like, somebody who grew up in a very small, no, I would call it village, but it has
Yeah.
like, they call it a city in the southwest of the Netherlands. And standing at the American Music Awards stage, I like really remember it. And I remember also tearing up. And I do think my colleagues thought I was onto something because you're like, wow, this is such an, overreacting reaction. But I was just so ecstatic. So I feel like the cultural shock of literally being in Hollywood and being happy, I think, is something I will never, ever, ever forget. Um, and another thing is, I think, Moan, I will call you Moan, is that okay? Or do I see Simone? Moan, okay. Is Dublin, which one thing that stands out to me from Dublin, so that's where we both lived together in the same city, is decoding time. So if somebody like the first, I think, so I went to Dublin 2017 out of my head, and then Irish people were like, oh, hey, we meet at half two. And I'm like, good. And then I was there and nobody showed up. And I was like, why? And
Yeah.
I quickly learned the hard way. You know what I'm saying, right? Because half
Yeah.
two in the Netherlands is
Yeah.
1:30.
1:30.
In Ireland, it's not 1:30. It's
2:30.
2:30. So anyway, so I feel like every country will, you know, gives you lasting memories, wherever you are, what you do. But I think both stand out in very like very different ways.
Odd as well because even right now, I never got used to that half two or half three. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then sometimes even this whole, even till now, I'm like AM, 5 p.m., all of that is still kind of like not working in my brain. So every time I still need to think about what do you mean? Because every country, even though they're English speaking countries, they're using different acronyms for things and they're using
I
different
know
just
it's too
tell
much.
her 24-hour military time, and everybody
I
knows what.
know. But even like GMT, CAT, and everything, I'm like, don't confuse me with that because even Google sometimes gives the wrong time zones. I'm like, no, no, no. Just say Amsterdam time, Dublin time, I will be fine. Because even Google is confused. But anyway, this is a whole other. That's
Yeah.
really something that is first starter pack. Really figure out the timings and where you're going.
Oh, I definitely that. So,
Yeah.
like, tell me a little bit. Take me a little bit back because you've always liked the Hollywoods and kind of the singing, dancing, and kind of the glamorous lifestyle. But tell me about the dream that you were chasing when you decided to move abroad, and what kept you going when you made that decision. But maybe it wasn't always easy to make that decision.
Oh yeah. Let me go back to my trauma. I think the dream that I always had is just being entertainment. And I feel like when I was young, it was like being the next pop star, right? Being in girl groups and everything. But sooner I realized that's going to be a bit difficult. So that's why I ended up like studying business administration, but more like specialized in the creative industries. So that was really always the dream, something being part of entertainment, something where people are happy, people, to give something people a magic. what kept me going, I think that dream was always something there. However, life didn't, so to say, made it so easy. At first, it looked easy because I had my dream internship when I was 21. LA, Hollywood. What can you ask more for? And even after that, like I went to the Netherlands back. I had two amazing internships. One at a local broadcasting television station, and one at a national music label. So still, everything was like I have this now as an intern. What a great life will I get after this? Like, but and I even was struggling it when I met you. And kid you
Yeah.
not, I was studying from 2010 to 2014 officially. But when I met you, of course, I still was struggling with this because my thesis was a big hiccup. I was an A student, and if I didn't get an A, I would cry my balls out. And I would study a lot as well, right? It was not like, oh, I'm not studying
Yeah.
and get A's. It's
Yeah.
like you, right? It's just working hard for things. And then the thesis came, and due to personal reasons, that didn't work, getting more panic attacks and everything. And also after LA and after my other internships, moving back to Terneuzen, so that's the small town I'm from, because my mom wasn't doing well, and I was ending up being at a fabric,
Yeah.
like really a fabric doing administration. So
Mhm.
it was so far from, from
Yeah.
everything of my dream. Like
Yeah.
I was really like, okay, how will this ever be going right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's where the people, like your personal cheerleaders, will make really. I think if I
Yeah.
didn't have my people, I can
Yeah.
almost cry now. If I didn't have that, I don't think I would have it in me. And it's not
Yeah.
just, people that like for 15 years. It's
Yeah.
like you, I met you in Dublin, where I was still struggling finding, my dream job. Like how many times was I sitting on your balcony? So I think that is something that
Yeah.
really got me
Yeah.
through when things weren't
Yeah.
easy at
That's
all.
really beautiful as well because I think, as you say, life doesn't always treat you the way that you want, and you not
Mm,
always held the deck of cards that you prefer, right? And I think to have your support system is so important because that can make and break you as well. You need to have your cheerleaders, you need to have your girls or your boys or whoever corner to cheer you on, especially when times are hard or when times are tougher. In those moments of those setbacks,
mm,
to actively reach out to kind of, especially abroad, right? Because you moved from LA to the Netherlands, but then afterwards also to Dublin. Were you struggling to create that set of cheerleaders around you, or do you have that naturally came to you when you moved abroad?
mm. I should say I'm lucky in a sense that I'm a very yellow type person, so I'm very extroverted. I think that is something that I'm blessed with in that sense. But of course, having just casual friends where you have a laugh with, or people that you really trust with all your scares and self-doubt isn't, of course, another layer, I do have to say. And I do think I got lucky that maybe it's also what attracts you sometimes. Like the people I've met and stuck, like you, like
Yeah,
Carlos from Los Angeles, and Ashley and Josh, and in Dublin, you and other people that I've met also throughout my career, they all motivated me as well. So I think, was it hard? Yes, but I do think if you, of course, you have to open yourself up. It's shit scary, and sometimes, people will go out of your life. But I do think I can count my blessings that there are people that stuck. And when you
yeah,
get into that initial
yeah,
fear conversation, yeah, I think, and that's where you have long, you know, living
yeah,
friendships and and cheerleaders. And I do think, because friendship is not always your cheerleader, huh? Like some people are not applauding you or being authentic when you have a big win in your life, and other people's are. And I do think when you grow older you see what's the difference.
yeah. I like what you mentioned there as well because I think in a lot of ways, especially when you're moving abroad, and this counts for people that are also not moving abroad, but I think the older that you get, the more time you reflect on who are your casual friends, which is completely fine as well. But then in when is that moment that you're gonna talk about fear or, the sad days or the tougher times? And then who are the people that are cheering you on when the times are hard, but
Yeah.
especially who's cheering you on when you succeed? And if
Yeah.
you made something and that you can really proudly say, "Oh, my friend made it," and you're cheering each other on, etc. I think that it's sometimes sadly a little bit rare that you have
Mm,
that, but it's also a really good realization that if you don't have that from the friends that you are daily chatting with or that you're daily hanging out with or whatever, if they're not cheering you on when you have something to celebrate, then I think it's time to reconsider if those are the friends that you want to hang out with. And if
yeah.
that is the friend that you want, or if that is the circle of support that you want, because they can be there for you when times are hard. But I think it's mostly visible when, if you have something to celebrate, if they're celebrating it with you. And I think,
100%. I think that what you say, it's the clapping for your success, I feel like
yeah,
makes it much more then you really see who your friends are. Even though you think it's in the hard times, like,
yeah,
I agree with you. It's really when it's in
yeah,
the, good
yeah.
times that are there. Yeah. Yeah.
Other question then for you is, if one of the hardest times about kind of your international life is, distance,
Mm.
you know, physically you're further away from friends and family that you maybe are, grew up with or went to
Mhm.
school, etc. How did you deal with that? Like, how was your journey, especially when you were abroad? How did you manage all of that?
Yeah, I think again I have one blessing as well. I can talk about all my not blessings, but my blessings also I'm a A type. So I am
Yeah,
a yellow and A type. So what helps in that I feel like is that I never forget to text back. I'm pretty much, regular in trying check-ins. Doesn't mean every week, with some it's like a cadence of a month, but I think that helped me already. And also sometimes I like casually go through my WhatsApp list and see like, okay, who didn't I speak for months? And then just sending a message. I think that can really help.
yeah,
But another thing, and I think you will agree, and some people hate it. So I'm always like, hey, I hope you like it. And otherwise, sorry, but I love it, is voice messages.
you
Like,
ignored it.
I'm like, how can you hate it? The thing is, it's like we do this all the time. Like, and I think especially in distance, you can still feel the emotion, feel the context to the words. Because I think, and we even experience, right? I'm not gonna act like that we always had a smooth road. When you just moved to the
Yeah,
States, we also
yeah,
had it, and it was because we just sexted and words were not the
yeah,
same. And I
yeah,
wasn't doing well mentally, so those kind of things, just
true.
didn't help. Like, it didn't
Yeah,
help.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think if we just voice message each other back then, it would be totally fine.
yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think my
no, I think
secret.
a really good tip as well for people because I think a lot gets lost in translation.
Mm,
If you're just texting, people can, especially if you're not in the right mindset or that you had some struggles mentally. I was struggling with the fact that I was moving and all by myself in my apartment in Texas.
in Texas, yeah, not the best.
This entire road, I think, for the both of us. And when you're texting and maybe your mindset is not really there, and then you're texting and then words just gets lost in translation. Even if
Yeah,
you're not, you know, meaning the things that you're saying at that moment, or maybe you do mean it, but in a different way. If you
yeah,
read it and you read it in your own mindset where you're not maybe in a negative spiral, you can read into things that are maybe not even meant that way. So I think voice notes, I love know that as well. I think we have, yeah, sometimes
and I think
10
that
minutes.
brought us back together even more. I think because I feel like even though we
Yeah,
haven't seen each other physically long, it
yeah,
just feels like I know everything about your life, and it's just because yeah, you take that time, and otherwise sometimes they're 10 minutes long. But I love it. Walking with the dog and listening to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
I
I
think
think that's my, 2 cents
person,
on getting relationships good.
yeah, I love that. I think it's so. important, especially if you're far away or you have long distance relationships, whether that is with family, friends, or your
Yeah.
lover or whoever. I think that personal connection can still stay there, even though that you're physically not there. You can always make it more personal. And I really like. I mean, you're really good at that. That's something that I really
Nah,
like about you, and I think that I
true.
take a little bit of learnings on that as well because I'm not always the greatest when it comes to my phone. So if my friends
But I
are
have to say, okay, I have to say this though. Like, you don't have to be, because I feel like always sad. Because to be honest, I surround myself with people that are not good with their phone. Like
yeah,
Tim, that's my boyfriend, almost fiance, and my best friend living in Amsterdam. Like, they are all like,
yeah,
but I think just that you know that and accepting each other is also, I think, a big thing that I wouldn't blame you for,
yeah,
maybe not doing this. Because in important moments, I hear Anne cheering me on. I hear Tim, I hear you, like, and I
yeah,
think that's also what you need to make sure that don't
yeah.
get fed up if you are different than,
Yeah.
you know,
No,
yeah.
I think that is super important. I think it sometimes comes back to, and I talked to somebody else about this, is to set those expectations that if you're
Yeah.
not like me, I'm not great with my phone, but I do my best. And if there is something up,
Yeah.
I will always call you, always cheer you on, and I will do 10 minutes long voice notes and whatnot, and vice versa. But because you have that maybe realistic set of expectations, like, oh, yeah, and don't take it that personally if people don't
Mm,
respond right away or it's a different way of communications, that is okay as well. But then it comes
yeah.
back to think about the friendships that you have. Are those the friendships that are cheering you on when something succeeds? Are those the ones in your corner or think with you if you're going through moments of tough life decisions and whatnot? And if that is all checking those boxes, the way of communication is something that you can discuss or set expectations together and
Yeah.
realistic, because I think that that is the difference of a real long-term sustainable friendship
Yeah.
or relationships that you're building.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And I do think that will help if you have setbacks in life, professionally or personally. I think that's where you really see where you can have the best jobs, but if you don't have the people that are like having you back you up, I think it's still
Yeah.
lonely. And yeah, so I yeah, plus one on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of loneliness, or even,
Mm,
I struggle with loneliness or being alone, and sometimes just the feeling of being, left out or guilty
mm,
that you're being able to join a specific celebration physically or things that happen at home, etc. How did you manage that? That maybe the FOMOs or the not being able to physically be there. How did you
yeah.
go through those moments?
I'm not the best with FOMOs. I still am not like people say, oh, you get older, it will be better. I got a bit better, but still I can get FOMO. But now just for context for the people out there listening, I do live
Yeah,
in Amsterdam right now. So now it's a bit less, of course, but then I have FOMO, looking at, you or my lovely people in Dublin. Like, you will always, if you lived in multiple places, you will always have FOMO forever because
yeah,
it's just there. I think what helped me, and it sounds so cheesy and cliche. Now I'm happy with where I am in life, of course. Or not of course, but thankfully
yeah.
at some point, because it took a hell of a lot of time. Um,
Well,
is that I'm much more able to see, look, okay, what can I do in this situation to either feel included, but it's on me, right? So then, for example, if I would miss a birthday, do I send a voice memo with, a song, and I'm just singing the song, right? Just to make sure that that person feels happy. Or if you want to ask them to FaceTime you at some point, you can always make sure
yeah,
you're not the victim because you're not. Like, it sounds hard, but you laughed. So it's
yeah,
on you also sometimes to get that extra mile. And what I
yeah,
think what always helps as well, if you feel like or left out or are afraid that you miss so many things that people will forget about you almost, a
yeah,
life without you, is when you're there.
yeah,
Trust me, I was almost burned out visiting the Netherlands sometimes because you meet with 5 people in one day, and I traveled from north, south, west,
Yeah,
east. But that helped me in the long term when, it was not possible. So I also think like
yeah,
there are ways to
yeah,
have less FOMO, but it really starts with yourself, I do think.
yeah. I think it's a really good tip and also a reality check, right? Because I do think people that move abroad, including myself, I'm part of that as well, is that you can be in this maybe a victim mindset indeed, where
Yeah,
you're just I'm being left out. I am not
I'm
being
not
able,
there.
and I think and that is valid as well. I mean, we all go through this, but I think to have a reality check is to say to yourself, you're not the victim here. You left, and that is okay. And this is life now. But there are things that you can still do. Send that present, send that voice note, or
You did that
think,
to me, by the way, with a plant. You sent me a plant one time. I was so excited about it. I'm not somebody who has plants, but when you sent me a plant, I was in love with that plant.
yeah, that's true. And it was in
Yeah.
my near Rotterdam, I think.
Yes, yes. For
Yeah,
11
that's
months. Didn't
yeah.
take long, but
No, but I think you're really, really right about that because I do think you can get into this spiral of negativity and victim victim mindset to call it like that. But to own that and to then change that behavior because it
mm,
starts with you. I 100% agree with you. It starts with you. It starts with your own mindset and your own attitude towards certain things as well. Because I think if you're getting into it with I'm the victim and people should come to me and I'm the one that's
yeah,
missing, then I mean you're coming in with a hot attitude as well. I don't think you're making a
you
lot
have
of
a lot of heartbreaks because they will not text you, oh, my birthday was amazing. You have to text, how was your birthday? I'm sorry I missed out. Like, you can
yeah,
never expect, trust me, everybody will. I also have that. So, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
start with yourself.
And it is effort that you still want to put in. And I think if you look at your friendships and over time as well, like you say, you're always gonna have FOMO because you move to different places and you
Yeah,
met amazing people and people that you want to have long lasting relationships with. And if you're gonna go with that attitude towards all of these people, then you're gonna burn a lot of bridges. But at that same time, then think about the people that you still want to connect with. Because
yeah,
if the people that you feel not connected with anymore, that is also okay to let that go, but not from a
right.
mindset of being a victim. Then really look inwards. Like, do you even want to reach out to those people? Do you want to have that relationship with them? You want to check in with them? And if the answer to all of those things is yes, then make the damn efforts.
Otherwise, it's also fine. Otherwise, it's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
But I do
you're
agree. Like, if everything you need after check, if everything is a yes, you reach
yeah,
out. Anybody's
yeah,
listening, reach out. Like,
yeah,
it's a team
yeah,
effort
yeah.
in
Well, and even if you
relationship.
find it difficult to do that, then talk to the people about that as well. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm getting into this mindset. I'm sorry I've been acting this way or that way. Like, I want to improve myself. I'm sorry that I did that. And then have a genuine conversation how you can improve that. I was
Yeah.
talking to someone else that had, the expectations of friendship conversation when she moved abroad. And I was like, oh gosh, that's actually quite smart to do that as well because
Yeah.
can help each other as well or can say to each other like, hey, you know what, you haven't reached out and I'm a little bit disappointed in you that you didn't. So what's going on? And I think to have those honest conversations with each other is super helpful. But again, it starts with kind of your own attitude and your own behaviors because that's what you can control. And if you don't want to do that, then let it go. Then
And then,
yeah.
yeah, and accept it to yourself. Like, then also let it go, and it's not like you're still not a victim, right? And if you're, like you said, a little bit afraid to do it,
Yeah.
once again, the voice memo, like, at least then you maybe can blabber. I blabber a lot. You will see that now as well. You're like, oh, when is this girl stop talking? But the thing is,
Yeah.
it helps to add context that then people
Yeah.
hear you're afraid or awkward. And you're like, sorry, I feel so awkward, but I need to, I'm finding the words, but like, you can.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. All right, moving on to a little bit of the next, something that I really want to know from you as well is looking
Different.
back, are you the most proud of when it comes to persistence and following your dream that you had as a young child? and the Hollywood dream, but also throughout kind of
Yeah.
your what are you most proud of?
Most proud. I think not giving up, and I think it sounds very, but I didn't, I didn't have it easy in life, and it's not to sound sad, but more like it doesn't define that you can have greatness in your life. Because I do like, my unfortunately my dad passed when I was 18 years old. Me and my mom grew up together. We not a lot of money, etc. And I think it helped me to give me the feel, okay, maybe I don't have a perfect start or the resources or the money, but
Yeah,
always put in the work yourself. Even though, now I have my dream job at TikTok, but
yeah,
I had a lot of jobs before that that I didn't love. And
yeah,
I'm proud of myself that I worked hard at every job, almost that I loved it. Because I think some people thought I was obsessed with it. I was not, because that will help you building connections,
yeah,
business opportunities. Because at Microsoft, I know you are, but you are very good at Microsoft. But I just was missing the entertainment like element of it. But I
yeah,
met somebody who referred me at TikTok, and I
yeah,
think that's why if you're always kind, if you make sure you always work hard, people will
yeah,
remember. And that progress, I will only see my progress now that I look back, right? And when we go back at the real accomplishment, is that I can help people that are like me. Like I'm now doing for the first time this year at TikTok, mentoring interns. And yeah, like they are amazing. Shout out to Elena and Emma. They were my first ever intern and TikTok first ever interns, but what was so fulfilling is seeing them grow and you can help them grow, and that it's very weird to be in the position that they look up to you, right? And I love that I can give them, like, your path is not linear, you don't, you will be okay, and that I can do my dream job,
yeah,
but also showcasing people that the road wasn't easy, but that you
mm,
can still make it. I think that is my greatest accomplishment, just to, inspire
yeah,
younger people like myself
yeah,
that, yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of battle, but it's a lot of going because, like, what is like success, of course, right? For me, I can almost tear up. I think for me, it's just that I didn't give up. Like, I was, trust me, I wanted to give up a lot of times. And I had also, and I think that's why I respect you so much, Moan, is I still had the support of Tim. Like, so Tim is, he was the one that, okay, took a leap of faith with me, moved back to Dublin again for TikTok, and you did it all by yourself. And I feel like that's even, I think, something I look up to, and that gives me strength again, right? That I don't know, it's something that I'm like, yeah, well, I mean it.
yeah,
It's not easy doing things that I did, but doing that
yeah,
by yourself is like a whole different ball game. And I think success is also that, right? It's not only that you
yeah,
have the most fancy resume, or because people, trust me, make titles up also. So if you're listening, right, it's also about the success that where were you 10 years ago, and if I would
yeah,
talk to my 15-year-old, she would be like ecstatic.
percent. Love the way that you phrase that because I think looking back gives you perspective and you
Yeah.
all have these tiny steps or maybe bigger steps or bigger leap of faith, but you see that and in the moment itself can feel so hard, right? And
Mm,
you need to keep going. But something that I'm super proud of for you as well and something that I admire from you is that indeed you've never given up. Every job that you did, every step that you took, always 110%, always with a smile on your face, even though if you close the laptop,
I
that
would
might,
cry, I'm crying, and I think I cried to all my
yeah,
friends, also abroad, like everywhere. So they all connected to, is that how it looks like?
I think, that is something that you can admire as well, because even when times were tougher, even that you maybe didn't see a way out at that moment of
Mm.
time, you still kept on going. You never know who knows somebody that's
Yeah.
connected, that is helping and seeing your path of growth. And again, I think it all comes back to doing that with your support system. What
Mm.
the system looks like. Yes, I did it by myself, but I have my cheerleaders on my side. So even though I
Yeah.
could do it by myself, I had my cheerleaders around me, and also the people that saw the tears if you close your laptop. You
Yeah.
know, Sometimes it was, us venting to each other like, "Oh my gosh, what are we doing?" etc. But
Yeah.
then also about not giving up and still keep on going, because if you want to achieve something, you have to work for that. You have to put in the effort, and that will
Of
come with,
course.
sometimes falling and standing up again. It's looking back, you will see the growth, even though in
Yeah.
the moment it looks maybe smaller. Um,
And
and
also
I
as
think,
yourself, the
yeah,
growth.
yeah,
Like,
100%.
because I think when you're growing up, like I know when oh sorry, when I was in the, so just for people that are like, okay, what journey were you talking about? Like, so, I had the job at the Fabric, then I went to Dublin, then I worked as a Google vendor, then Microsoft, then an intervoice over agency, but it was all so random. But what I was like, I think, and I want to always say self-hate, that I
Yeah,
was always like, okay, why didn't I push harder at my dream internships to get a job afterwards? Why that I was so sucked up in not having my thesis, making
yeah,
blockers for yourself is, I think,
yeah,
I hope listening to this that you can still do jobs that you love without
yeah,
a diploma,
yeah,
even if it's like as a volunteer, right? Never let something that is not right at this moment stop you for doing
yeah,
things you love. And I wish I did that. Like, even though in Dublin wide I could still, I don't say, volunteer somewhere at film
yeah,
theater. I'm just saying something. That is something I wish I did. But of
yeah.
course, yeah, it's always easier looking back. So I hope if you're not where you are now, just find little things that excite you and gives
Mm,
you maybe even if it's a little skill set or something that can help you
yeah,
in your
yeah.
dream job. Yeah.
I think so too. I think, and you and I have talked about this throughout our friendships and stuff like that, is what can you still do? And I think a good theme maybe of this podcast and our conversation as well is, as long as you have the people around you
Yeah.
cheering you and you work hard and you make the connections, they can still achieve what you want to achieve. And maybe that takes a little bit longer. Maybe it's gonna be with a
Yeah.
little bit of detour, but you will get where you go if you follow your sense of joy, maybe, or like your
Yeah.
sense of belonging, and where do you want to grow through.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody that's listening now, or maybe elsewhere, who feels like giving up on their specific international dream? What would you tell them?
Always come back to yourself and ask question, why do you, want to quit? Is it because of money? Is it because you feel like, everybody is rejecting you? I think first very important to figure out what it is and where it comes from. What the phrase I always like, better an oops than a what if,
Yeah,
is even for example, if you don't have, if you want to go just say to LA and you want to go to, you're not able to figure out an internship there, or you don't know how to, just saying something, internship, job, anything like that. But you don't have a lot of money. So what I then would suggest, okay, what is the path I can do? And that's, for example, getting a job longer that you maybe don't like to save up to get like an, how do you call it, an agency. Also helped me, by the way, to, find a job maker or an internship, matchmaker.
mhm,
It took me longer. Like I had to work, I started saving up like for years and years and years
yeah,
to make that happen. So I think it's also about like, don't give up because it can happen now. Think about, okay, is it resource? Is it time? Is it your mental health? Maybe because you are so far with your own mind. Like, to
yeah,
be honest, I couldn't have done TikTok
yeah,
if that opportunity happened 8 years ago. I wasn't there mentally to be able to do that. So I think it's checking all those boxes and see the horizon, your international journey still. And I think
yeah,
that will help you, that some people peak at their 20th when they're 20, some people peak when they're 50, some people go
Yeah,
up and down. Maybe I now love my job, maybe in a couple years I don't, but it will always be,
yeah,
I think, thriving to something, and then always look back at yourself. What can I do? So I think that
yeah,
is, again, a very long answer, but I'm just like, yeah,
yeah.
also giving my younger self a bit of advice on that one.
No, I think it's really, really important for people to understand if you want something, does it need to happen now or can you work towards it? And what is that path gonna look like? And I really like the fact that you say, are you there mentally? Because I think what you need to realize is that even though that you're moving away, your problems aren't. Well, all you're carrying it all with you. And if you're not there mentally and you're looking for something, it always starts with you and do the work that you need to do internally and all of these other factors, which are super important as well, right? I mean, you have visas, you have money, financial
Yeah.
things, maybe educational things or other blockers that are coming in that path. But what can you control and control those controllables? And what can you do to make a feasible timeline for yourself where you can work towards those things? And there are options. I wouldn't say that every option is super easy, but indeed reach out to people, make the connections, or go to an agency that can help you to achieve the things that you want to achieve and be realistic and have the dreams that you can chase. But be realistic, I think, is super important to kind of see if you that is your dream job, let's say in LA, and you want to work in a specific area. Maybe that doesn't mean that you can start next week, but maybe that's next year. And what can you do for those
Or
things and
10 years.
what will bring to your way? But I think it comes back to the circle of your support system, your hard work, stay connected, and maybe find the things that you can already do to achieve the things that you want to achieve in long term. I think that
Yeah.
that is important to
And
do.
yeah, and also for people that don't have, because I don't want people to feel like if they're alone or don't have a lot of friends, that they're like, okay, I can't achieve anything. You can also start with, and this sounds very, and I think you can maybe even relate, like when you move to Texas, it doesn't have to be a human being always, right? It can be a dog, can be a cat, like just somebody who lifts you up, that
Yeah,
always is happy to see you and believes in you. It doesn't always have to be that you feel like, oh, I don't have that circle of friends.
yeah,
Like it takes time, and
yeah,
find other ways to feel like support, or even forums or people that you game with, it can be in all shapes or forms. It doesn't,
yeah,
like, I understand it's not always easy
yeah,
when
yeah.
we say support group.
I agree with that. I think it's a really important thing to say because every person is super different and every character
Yeah.
can be super different. Others want to have energy from all the people around them.
Yeah.
Others don't. And there's so many different ways. Go to whatever, a meetup connection and go to a volleyball game if you want to,
Yeah.
be active or you have, in my case, and you hear me in the background. So
Oh, no.
well, I have this little one that I got 3 months after moving to Texas because I was like, "I'm not gonna do this by myself."
Show him. Cutest little nuggets. Look.
Always have to
See.
do it yourself. You can get yourself a dog and you can do all these other meetups. And keep in mind as well, like set expectations with your long distance friendships and relationships that you have. So that if you are in moments that you maybe physically are alone, that you don't always have to feel lonely.
Hmm.
And do the things that you want to do. If that is gaming or a forum indeed, or go to meetups or do a volunteering thing, there are always ways to meet other people. But again, it starts with you to make that effort
Yeah.
and to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with what you want to have and the relationships that you want to build. All right,
Also
Alex,
needed one. Yeah.
getting to the end of the podcast. Thank you for so much of your wisdom and honest conversation.
I hope. I hope there's something. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm so, so, so proud of you as well. And I think,
Mm,
I'm super
thank
grateful
you.
for our friendship and the way that we've managed that all overseas and with so much time difference between us. So I think we're an amazing example of how it can be, even though that you're not physically together and that you go through ups and downs together, but you have your cheerleaders in each other's corners. And I think that that's,
Yeah. I think that's the greatest success in life. Yeah.
yeah.
But thank you. I'm also so proud and so excited to be on this, and thank you for having me as a guest. And I can't wait to see you in, I'm not sure when it's gonna air, but I will go to California in January 2026, and I will also meet definitely finally because I haven't met him yet.
I know. He's very excited.
No. Well, he looks like it now.
I know. Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.